And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking about George Russell and his quite sad, quite shocking disqualification after what was arguably one of his best races, not known compared to Lewis Hamilton, of course, as the tyre whisperer. But George Russell was very much the tyre whisperer in Spa. But sadly, it was all for naught. So most of you may know by now, we've done a couple of live videos from the beach, of all places, that George Russell was indeed disqualified. His victory jubilation turned into despair, as PlanetF1.com basically has put that down on their headline. So he produced, as we know, a brilliant race, a one-stop work of art to beat Lewis Hamilton and Oscar Piastri. Now, every car was checked after the post-race by the FIA's technical director, Joe Bauer, and Russell's was found to be under the minimum, 79.65 kilograms, as required by Article 4.1 of the regulations. Bauer said, after the race, car number 63, George Russell, was weighed and its weight was 798 kilograms, which is the minimum weight required by Article 4.1. Good, but yeah, the caveat comes, after this, the fuel was drained out of the car and 2.8 litres of fuel were removed. Now, at this point, normally when you remove all the fuel, it should still be the minimum weight. Fuel does not count. The car was not fully drained, though. Fishy. According to the draining procedure submitted by the team in their legality documents, Joe Bauer went on to say. That's Article 6.5.2 for nerds. Now, the car was weighed again on the FIA, on the inside scales and on the outside scales, in order to be accurate. But the weight was confirmed as 796.5. Now, the collaboration of the outside and inside scales was confirmed and witnessed by the competitor, i.e. Mercedes. Now, this is 1.5 kilograms below the minimum weight requested in, as we said, that Article 4.1, which is also has to be respected because, hey, it's a competition. They need it to be fair. And at that point, the sporting regulations pretty much say a car's going to be disqualified. It was a slam dunk. And after a meeting with the Mercedes representative, the stewards, Felix Holter, Mattia Remy, Enrique Benaldi, and someone I can't pronounce. But they essentially, as I said, disqualified George Russell from the race, meaning he loses out on what would have been the third win of his career. The reason stated, the official reason, as we've already gone through, the stewards heard from team representative of Car 63, that's George Russell, the FIA technical delegate, the FIA single-seater director, and the FIA single-seater technical director. Okay, a load of boffins, but the car 93 was weighed inside and outside scales, and essentially it was, below the minimum. And at that point, they were like, yeah, we are going to disqualify you, which is kind of really sad. I mean, Mercedes has claimed its fourth F1 race victory in Sunday's Belgian Grand Prix. That is their fourth, I think, since 2022, wasn't it? So George Russell 1, 2, 3, yeah. But alas, it didn't happen, did it? Because George Russell was, as we know, disqualified. But here's the interesting thing. With high tyre degradation, and there was high tyre degradation at the Belgian Grand Prix, we know George pitted at the end of lap 10 to swap his medium tyres to a set of hards to go to the end of the race. Manic. But with the majority of runners employing what was a two-stop strategy, Russell began planting the seed of trying to eke out his tyres. He tried that in Japan a couple of years ago, didn't work. So it was like, even I thought it wasn't going to work. But as the laps ticked by, even Lewis Hamilton pitted for another set of tyres. Russell moved into the lead, but the question mark was whether he could massage his tyres home. And that very much he did. Lap after lap, obviously, Hamilton and Piastri were closing, but to no avail. But word filtered through 2 hours after the race that Russell's car was below the minimum rate limit. Now, F1 cars were completely empty of fuel, together with the weight of the drivers. As we said, they must weigh 798 kilograms. The figure for Russell and his car was just shy of that at 1.5. The FIA checked the collaboration. With no alternative, they had to be like, well, you're screwed. But the steward's verdict was released quickly, which is quite promising. But what's interesting is some people have suggested running longer than expected on his hard set. More rubber would have worn off the 4 tyres as expected. Particularly pertinent as the one-stop strategy was, let's be fair, not the initial plan. And the car is weighed with those tyres on. This itself would add a few hundred grams, as this would have been exacerbated by the lack of a cooldown lap at Spa-Francorchamps. They go over all the tyre stuff, all the tyre rubble, tyre bits, tyre droppings, whatever you want to call them. That does, funny enough, add weight to the car. But as you know, they kind of stop at Eau Rouge. So usually when drivers finish a race, as we know though, other than Spa, they perform a full lap. However, in this case, they don't. However, with Spa being over 5 kilometres long, that's essentially the reason why. But yeah, so the offset of the tyres, it may have been, I mean, it would almost be, I don't know if it's ironic or just really bad luck, but it may be in the fact that George Russell's amazing strategy is the one that cost him the race win. Simply because he'd burned too much tyres. Oh no, that would be absolutely horrendous, wouldn't that? Not good at all. I would really feel for George Russell. And this is what he said on Twitter. Heartbreaking, we came in 1.5 kilograms underweight and have been disqualified from the race. We left it all on the track today, and I take pride in crossing the line first. There will be more to come. Yes, there will be, George. Absolutely there will be. And this is the Mercedes statement. It says, we have to take our disqualification on the chin. We have clearly made a mistake and need to ensure we learn from it. We'll go away, evaluate what happened, and understand what went wrong. To lose in 1-2 is frustrating, and we can only apologise to George, who drove such a strong race. Lewis is, of course, promoted to P1. He was the fastest guy on the two-stop and is a deserving winner. Despite this disqualification, there are many positives we can take from this weekend. We had a car that was the benchmark in today's race across 2 different strategies. Only a few months ago, that would have been inconceivable if you've watched that film. I forgot what the name is now, sorry. We head into the summer, having won 3 of the past 4, Princess Bride, there we go. Having won 3 of the past 4 races, we will look to come back after shutdown is rejuvenated and with the aim of maintaining our positive trajectory. That's from Toto Wolff. And he apologises to George Russell. There's a quick article on Formula1.com where Toto Wolff has offered his reaction to George Russell's disqualification, saying they can only apologise to their driver. Absolutely. Bad things. I mean, there was a lot of suggestion about them screwing over Lewis Hamilton, which I don't think they did. Even Lewis suggested the one stop in the pre-race meeting, supposedly, but they said no, they didn't think it was going to work, and it wasn't until George Russell realised, these tyres might work, that they did it. With Lewis Hamilton, it was the less of the 2 riskier strategies, and they all thought, including myself, that Lewis was the one to win the Grand Prix, which is why I think a lot of people were surprised with George, but well done, George Russell. But yeah, disqualification, shame. Anyway, that's pretty much everything currently out about the George Russell disqualification. If you want to know more, if there's any more, of course, give us a subscribe. We will keep you up to date on that, as we did throughout the day. I was down at the beach. I think I did 3 live videos in the end. Stay tuned also. We'll have our race fallout out and probably our winners and losers at some point, either tonight or tomorrow at Monday, and then it is going to be the summer break. But there is still touring car to talk about, which was this weekend. There is the Finland Rally coming up next weekend, and I might be able to get in a few more gaming bits. We've got our Nigel Mansell series as well. We've just done Monaco. Wasn't particularly good, was it? But there we go. Thank you very much. Hit that notification button if you don't want to miss a video. That would be lovely. And we'll speak to you soon. Thank you.